I'm standing outside Parliament. I'm here with Baroness Fox. Claire, you're here. We've got this vote coming up on Friday. Tell us your thoughts on it and what's your view on it?
So, first of all, it's a very important issue, and I think it would be wrong to caricature the people who genuinely, in good faith, believe that this is the humane thing to do, to allow the law to change to have assisted dying. However, that good faith debate is really undermined by the fact that this whole legislative process has been reduced to a private member's bill, and that means that it will not have parliamentary scrutiny. It doesn't matter what way you look at it, it's only going to have 5 hours in the Commons. It'll tootle along to the Lords, but the Lords perfectly reasonably, because we're not elected, shouldn't be able to overthrow it. So I'm absolutely outraged at that side to it. Secondly, it is obvious to me that what we need to do when somebody feels so desperate and so in pain and so feeling full of hopelessness is that we stretch out a hand and say life is definitely better than death, no matter how much pain you're in. The slippery slope arguments can be rather cheaply deployed, but it's worth saying this. If somebody says, I'm suffering in so much pain that I want to die, it's obvious in today's climate in which psychological pain is given an absolute equality with any other kind of pain, that we are going to have people who say, well, why are they allowed to die? It's not fair. I want to be able to die because, I don't know, I'm so depressed, I'm so fed up, and so on. And you can see that what's going to happen is it will not be confined to those people with only 6 months to live. Anyway, it's completely anti-science, because there's no such thing as people with only 6 months to live. There are doctors who will say, I think you've only got a number of months to live. There's also medical science which can intervene and save you, and there's just also that they can't predict that. Of course they can't give you the date of death. And as a consequence of which, people in their greatest despair when they feel that they're at the end of life, in a lot of physical discomfort, worried about the burden they might be to their family, would say, on a day, I want to die. But a week later, they might get a glimpse of their granddaughter, and suddenly life is worth living again, even if they're in pain. Or they might watch a brilliant film and it suddenly invigorates them, or they might read something, etc. In other words, there are days when I think life is not worth living. There are lots of days that you think, I can't do this anymore. I've had it. And we cannot have a situation where the state goes, all right then, you're feeling down, love, come over here. And one of the most disgusting parts about this particular legislation, my final point, is that doctors can be, the bill actually states, can suggest it to people. So there you are, old, depressed, maybe feel you're on your last months, and you're feeling as though you are a burden. And then your GP says, have you considered assisted dying at all? And you would immediately feel under pressure. And that is a form of coercive control, isn't it? It's a form, even if the doctor's doing it in the best interest, you would then immediately say, oh yeah, maybe. And I think that that will completely alter the relationship between the state-provided health services and individuals, and it gives too much power to the state to decide on when we die. Never. Not on my watch, as they say.
Well, there's not much to say after that, Claire. You've articulated that really well. Thank you very much. We will just say this, that we've seen polls, and I know you've commented on the polls. You can ask questions and get answers, but thrashing out these issues and debates is really essential. We're very nervous it's being pushed through too quickly. We also think, in the spirit of democracy, this should be big enough to have a referendum and have a big discussion. Just a quick thought on that. You're no stranger to a referendum.
No. I'm never really sure whether I want a referendum for anything, but I think the spirit of what Together is saying about the referendum's the right one. The Academy of Ideas, which is my main and more important job than being in the Lords, we believe in public debate and discussion, and I feel as though this is an issue that's far too important to be left to, parliamentarians. Even at the very level of the fact that they need to be informed by proper public conversation and debate, and that needs to be well informed. And that's not what opinion polls give you. Opinion polls give you complete snapshots, often biased, and so on and so forth. So I'm not sure whether we need a referendum, but I think we definitely need to have a sense in which society will have debated and discussed this for a very long time seriously. And one thing I will give credit to Kim Ledbetter inadvertently doing is, this was an issue which I felt passionately about for a long time, But when you talk about it, people just say, oh yeah, I think you should have the right to die. And they didn't really think about it. The one positive thing that's happened with this bill is it's cut through. And people who've never really discussed it properly are talking about it in the pub, at the school gates, and generally now are ready, I think, for that public conversation. And until that conversation has been had in detail, there shouldn't be a vote in support of a change of the law.
Which is why we're saying we're holding Take Back Democracy placards, because we're saying everyone should have a chance to debate this properly, fully, do a cost-benefit analysis, but this is a serious, big, ethical, moral set of questions that people have deep convictions about. Do go and tell your MP, say no to Friday, and this needs to be thrashed out more. Thank you very much, Claire.
Thank you. Good luck with it all.